Monday, September 4th, 2017. I'm at Echo 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So it is Labor Day today in the States and the markets are closed, but U.S. futures, foreign exchange, precious metals, they keep trading. I think the futures, though, they closed a little earlier today. So let's go and check what we're doing this morning. It's around 7:45 a.m. London time. Gold doing very well, making a new 10-month high at just under 1339. Right now we're at 1336.50, up $11.50. Silver up 13 cents at 1785. The high has been 1791 and the low 1769. Silver, of course, is not making a 10-month high because on election night, silver traded around 19, so we're still lagging behind gold. Gold, of course, the high on election night was around 1336. This is where we are right now. The Dow futures down 77, or 1/3%. S&P 500 down 12 at 2463, down 0.5%. Crude oil basically unchanged, 47.50. WTI, that is. Currencies, pound not moving today, unchanged, 129.56. Euro up a quarter or 25 pips at 118.86. The high's been 119.04. The dollar is getting hit against the yen. It's at 109.53 now, back below 110, down 72 pips or 2/3%. What else? The DAX in Germany, the DAX index is down 100 points at 12,045. The FTSE is down 40 at 7406. So, you read the headlines on mainstream or zero hedge. This nervousness in the markets has been attributed to the situation in the Korean Peninsula. I've spoken about this before, and I'm not going to really go over it. One thing I'm going to say it, though, is compare what we're presently experiencing to Brexit. Just before Brexit, I made a series of videos, and even during the day of the vote and after the day of the vote, and I said, don't be distracted by Brexit. Don't let the mainstream media, mainstream economists, the governments, the central banks tell you that the reason for the weaker pound is Brexit. Now, and why? Well, because, the pound reached $2.11 in 2008 or 7, just around, the last top, just before the crisis of 08, 1 pound bought you $2.11. Then then we dropped to around 135 in the bottom, at the heart of the top of the crisis, heart of the problems. And then, since 2009-10, the pound had basically been between 150 and 170. And just before Brexit, the pound, even before it was announced, like in 2014, the pound topped at 170 and had been dropping, towards like 150, 155. And then on Brexit Day, it just dumped, to below 130. And now we're, we've even been below 120. And right now we're at 129. And what this does is, this is called currency debasement. Basically, the UK is heavily indebted, and one of the easiest ways to try to manage that debt is to devalue your currency. But there's a flip side to that, which is the general public suffers through inflation or higher prices. But when you read in the papers now, this is starting to take effect now, the Brexit effect. We have higher prices, higher cost of living. But it's all been blamed on Brexit, as if Brexit was, the people voting to get out of the EU is affecting our currency. But it's not. It's government and central bank policy of deficit spending and money printing that's causing it. And the same thing, I think, in my opinion, is being used as a cover for the dollar. same kind of crisis situation. And what is the crisis situation? It looks like it's the Korean crisis, Korean Peninsula, North Korea. Yeah, so as people in the past have said, don't let a crisis go to waste. I think is Rahm Emanuel. Always, cover things up. I think the powers that be behind the scenes, they publish some, they tell the public something they want the public to hear, so that, but we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. So what are they saying, about North Korea? Well, now North Korea supposedly has a EMP capability, electromagnetic pulse, that could hit the U.S. Basically, that stops everything, the power grid for months. I think it could be very debilitating for the economy. What else? There's the talk now that they tested a hydrogen bomb. And South Korea has been actually testing missiles to defend itself. There's a story here. It says China raises radiation threat level, begins emergency monitoring along North Korean border. So it looks like there is something going on there, but do I really think it's going to end up in a nuclear war? I don't think they're going to let it get to that. They're just going to let it be a crisis and use it to their advantage, in my opinion. What we need to focus on is the fundamentals and see where we are. Where we are is that we've been in the system of fiat money since 1971. And the debt in the Western countries and the U.S. especially, the U.S. is the poster child of all this. The debt is becoming more and more unsustainable. The crises have become worse and worse. Every time there's a crisis now, the central bank has to respond more radically and cut rates even more. And they haven't really done anything to change the system because they want to be in charge. They want to keep the fiat money system going. The big, banks, the SIFI banks, or the too big to fail, have become even bigger to fail. And by that I mean the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, the Deutsche Banks, the UBS, the Barclays, the RBS. The Bank of America banks, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, all these, the French banks, Société Générale, Credit Lyonnais, and the Japanese banks, who've been zombie banks for decades anyway. Yeah, this is all to perpetuate this international banking group that makes billions off this system, trading through hundreds of trillions in derivatives that have to be propped up. And the best way to keep this system going, of course, right now is to devalue. And how to devalue the reserve currency? Well, you devalue it against something that everyone else is prepared to devalue, the ultimate money, and that's gold. There's no point in the dollar devaluing against the euro or the yen, because then the European officials and the Japanese officials are going to come and say, "Oh, we want to devalue now." It's like it's a game that ends badly. So, but why haven't they devalued against gold? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because the Chinese want more time to make sure they have enough gold before the U.S. is ready. The U.S. wants to devalue against gold. Difficult to say. But that's the only way that the world will reset monetarily. People who say that the dollar index has to drop to like 56 or 60 for a reset to occur, I'm not too sure about that. I think it's more of a reset against gold, because do you really think the Europeans, the Japanese, the British and, the other, major economies who have fiat currencies, do you really think they want the dollar to devalue, by 30-40% against their currencies? It's going to like put them in really deep trouble. So that's what I think. We need to focus on the fundamentals. The crisis and geopolitics, interesting to keep an eye on. But deep down, I think the trends are more cyclical and longer term. What else? No, that's about it. One thing I'd say about gold, the technicals is looking good. That trend line from 2011, we've broken through it. And even the HY index, we've been trying to get back above 200 in this summer. It hadn't succeeded, but last week we closed at 213. So clearly, above that 200 level. We still got good resistance around 225 in the HY index, which is an index of mining stocks. So it was up 6% last week. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.